Back home, a central Victorian community is crying foul after their council's decision to block new electrical infrastructure for another wind farm was overturned. The Victorian Civil and Administrative Appeals Tribunal has given Mt Mercer wind farms approval to build a substation near the hamlet of Elaine. But as James Bennett reports, locals say that's at odds with their wishes and it ignores the bigger picture.
Elaine farmer David Wells is upset. He and his neighbours' concerns were deemed irrelevant.
I think that for the future of wind farm policy, they need to consider a lot more issues than what has been considered in this situation. How it affects, farming communities and the people around it and the surrounding landholders.
Mt Mercer Wind Farms has approval for 64 turbines in neighbouring Golden Plains Shire, but needed to connect them to the grid. The Moorabool Shire rejected its application for a substation, citing community concerns and the Shire's wind farm policy. But VCAT has ruled the substation isn't a wind farm, making the policy irrelevant. It rejected submissions that the 5 towers, up to 40 metres high, and associated sheds would industrialise the landscape.
I'm disappointed in that our Shire is not anti-wind farm. We are a strong believer in sustainable energy, but we're really looking after the well-being of our community.
The Moorabool Shire Council says the proposal that VCAT approved was different to the original one, and that meant that locals weren't able to get an accurate idea of what the impact on their land use and land values would be.
Mayor Pat Griffin says the state government promised to give communities a greater say.
It was our view that the new Liberal government and their new policy on wind farms would mean that there'd be some changes made and this permit would not go ahead.
The government says that would mean reversing prior decisions, something it promised not to do. But not everyone's complaining. The substation will now be built on Brian Dunn's property.
It's got to go somewhere, and I think this is probably the best place within 20 kilometres.
In response to concerns the substation could attract more wind farms, Mt Mercer says it's designed to meet the technical requirements of the wind farm and the national grid. James Bennett, ABC News, Elaine.